So welcome, everyone. My name's Angela Mills. I work for the town manager here in the town of Amherst. We have some procedural things. Due to changes in public meeting laws according to Section 20 of Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, which provisions expire on June 30th, 2027, unless further extended, suspended the requirements under the open meeting law and the Attorney General's open meeting law regulations that a quorum of a public body, including the chair, be physically present at the meeting location. So this is a meeting of the Town of Amherst Cultural Council. I am acknowledging at this time that we have 4 members present and we need a 5th member to join us in order to reach quorum. We will not do any deliberating. We will do some housekeeping stuff, but this meeting is being recorded to the cloud and will be uploaded by our capable IT family to the Town of Amherst YouTube channel and will be accessible that way. Finally, as a housekeeping rule, minutes from this meeting will be posted to the Cultural Council webpage within a month from this meeting. So having said all of that, I recognize that the purpose of this meeting is for you to vote in some new leadership, and we can't do that until you have a quorum. But I'd love to do a little bit of introductions since we have new members and I'm new to this group. I've been doing your turnovers for the past couple of years to the accounting department, and I am happy to take the role of getting you organized as we go through this grant cycle, but also would love to do a revisit of your group's charge and maybe see how we can expand the reach of the Cultural Council in the town of Amherst. So the first person I see is Jessica. Jessica, if you're game for this, I'd love for you to introduce yourself to everyone and tell us your favorite room in your home and why.
Right. Hi, my name is Jess. I use she, her, or they, them pronouns. I am in my mid-20s. I have lived in Amherst for only a year now. And I work at Amherst College. And my favorite room in my house is, I guess, my bedroom, because I only have 3 rooms in my house. So it's my favorite. Yeah.
You can pick the next person.
Sounds good. Rachel.
Thank you. Hi, nice to see you again. I'm Rachel. Nice to see everyone. Hi, Evelyn. So I'm Rachel, and what am I supposed to say? Just that my favorite room in my house is my kitchen because I have enjoyed cooking over the years, and during the pandemic, I think my friends and myself who all love cooking got tired of cooking, but we've gradually started to regain our passion for it. So this is my second term serving on the Cultural Council, and this is my final year. And I am semi-retired. I'm a writer, translator, educator. But I've done a variety of things, and I've now lived in Amherst for going on 10 years after spending 4 decades in Asia Pacific with my family. So I'm going to pick Cody next to speak. Okay, Cody.
Hi, my name's Cody. This is my second term, first year of it, and I live out of a dorm for right now, so it's just one room. Yeah. I pass it on to Bill.
Thanks, Cody. My name is Bill. This is my second year of my first term. Been an Amherst resident for just about 3 years after spending the last 26 or 7 in Washington, D.C. My favorite room is probably my office because it has a fireplace, and I love fireplaces. And I will pass it on to Evelyn.
Thank you. My name is Evelyn. I use she, her pronouns. This is I'm gonna follow Phil's lead. This is my second year of my first term. Question mark. But this is my second time with Amherst Cultural Council. I have lived in the area for this is my fourth year. Before this year, I was a full-time staff member at UMass as a residence hall coordinator. And this is my first year of grad school, so I'm studying art history. Very excited about that at UMass. So that's a little bit about what I do. And my favorite room in my house has to be my living room. I just moved to a new apartment and it's very cute and it's getting decorated. So I'm appreciating it.
That's great. So again, my name is Angela Mills. I work for the town manager. I am your staff liaison. I've been doing the financial turnover piece for this group for a couple of years. I offered at one point to join in and do minutes for this group, but previous leadership said you were all set. So I'm still looking for minutes somewhere. I will do the minutes for this meeting and then I will share my template with everyone and hopefully we can all take turns doing that. But I will also take responsibility for getting us organized and putting the packets together for meetings and for communication for the financial piece with the Massachusetts Cultural Council via Leah Carver, who's our acting comptroller at this time. So if I may, I'm going to share screen and we are going to look at where all the materials for the meetings can be found online. So let me do this. Here we go. This is your webpage on our Town of Amherst website. And then these are all the members. So we should have 9. Right now we have 7 with 2 vacancies. And I am working to find really capable, fun-loving people to join us. I'm happy that we have quorum and that we can move forward with the agenda. But the top of the webpage looks like this. The local cultural council grant cycle is open right now. And these are the dates. So all applications will be due on the 16th. And we don't control that piece of that, just so everybody knows that's done through the Commonwealth MCC, through the Massachusetts Cultural Council, and they open the portal and they close the portal for those. On the right-hand side, you'll see my name as your staff liaison, my office phone number, and then the most recent agenda can be found here. But what I really want you to focus on are the meeting folders and packets. And hopefully, yep, here we go. So you're going to click on the year. And then you're going to click on the date of the meeting. And everything that we'll discuss should be here. So here's our agenda. And then all the different scoring sheets and spreadsheets. And Rachel was kind enough to send me the template that you used last year to look at grant proposals, and it had like a tab for denied grant proposals and pending grant proposals. And it was incredibly informative because I didn't sit in on those discussions. But let's take a look at your agenda for today. And we just finished welcome and introductions. So we're moving on to elect new leadership. And kind of what I need to know from this group is, what is your ethos in terms of how you want to roll as a cultural council? Are we using Robert's Rules of Order? Are you used to doing motions and seconding motions, or is it a little bit looser than that?
I think as a matter of formality, we just would make the motions and second them, but beyond that, it hasn't been as formal as all of that. Is that your understanding as well, Cody, and everyone else?
Yeah. Beyond that, we've been leading, which I think it worked. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not here to change the way that you've been functioning. I'm willing to roll with whatever. It sounds like it's going well. I think one of the things I'd love to do, especially if we get back to full membership, is when we make determinations or when we take votes that are going to allocate monies, that we do a roll call vote instead of pushing for consensus or a unanimous vote. Does that sound okay with everyone?
That sounds okay.
What do you
with me.
mean by that?
Well, I think for some groups, because I'm also the staff liaison to like the Public Arts Commission and the Elementary School Building Committee and the Jones Library Building Committee. And some of those groups, when they take votes for, I don't know, like, for example, like the materials for a roof. So because it's a big chunk of money, sometimes leadership wants it to be a consensus. And so they'll work and they'll talk until it gets to a consensus. And other groups are happy with a super, like a majority vote. So I don't know how this group feels about that.
I guess obviously I just had one cycle. And as I'm remembering it, there was a lot of consensus. Like the only place that I really think that well, I guess we did take a vote line item, didn't we? Rachel, I mean, am I remembering that right? Where it was kind of a vote project by project?
I think we, after the scoring process, as I recall, we would discuss each application for a maximum of 5 minutes. And there was a range of, are we inclined to give full funding or partial funding or deny? There was kind of like that, at the end of the 5 minutes. And I think what we voted on in terms of majority, as I recall, was the, when we actually got the numbers. Do you remember? Like, there was kind of the numbers that
Yes,
the
now I
former
remember.
chair had presented to us, and we said that wasn't, we needed to be able to trim, and there was a proposal to trim a percentage across the board.
Yes, I do
So we
remember.
voted on the approach we were going to take to arrive at the final figure. That's how I remember.
Okay, all these details are great.
So in the end, it was by majority vote, yes.
Okay. Would anybody be opposed to like we're going to vote for new leadership tonight if everyone's okay with that, because we have 5 members out of the 7 active members. If it turns out that I can't get a hold of Do Kim, and I will give it the all-out try in the next 5 to 10 days with phone calls and emails. But if we bring on 3 new people, is everybody okay with still voting in new leadership at tonight's meeting?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, do I have anyone who would like to make a motion for chair or vice chair?
Actually, again, I'm sorry because I'm new. What are the open positions and what do they entail?
Sure. So I would be working with the chair and the vice chair to help you set agendas for meetings, which during the grant cycle is pretty straightforward. It's to review the proposals and to make sure that we get through all of them in a timely manner so that we wrap up the grant cycle in December and can have the report to the MCC by January. And then the vice chair takes over when the chair is unable to attend. And then there is a secretary treasurer position, which would work with me and double check figures to make sure that we're not giving away more money than we have to give away. And then also double check all of the turnover packets before they reach our comptroller's office.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is the secretary treasurer one position, Angela?
It is, because I think one of the things I found with most of my groups is if we all take turns doing the minutes, then it feels more like we're all learning together the functionality of our team. But the treasury, the numbers piece and the fiscal piece, it's just good to have an extra set of eyes.
I agree with like the taking turns to do the minutes, because we did do that at one point, as I recall, and that worked well. So that's
Mhm.
I'm good with that. Yeah, thanks.
So again, I know that it seems like a daunting task, but I am going to commit time every week to this group. I am going to show up for your meetings. All of your meetings have always been on my Zoom account. I will pull the packet together for you. I'm the person who posts the agenda to the clerk's bulletin board, and they have to approve it for this meeting to be legal via open meeting law standards. So it's being the chair means you have to keep people on task during the meeting, but in terms of the organizational piece, I'm happy to populate the packets and the agendas and stuff and type them up. It's more being available to run meetings and making sure that you feel comfortable tracking people's airtime and making sure that every voice is heard.
So I would be willing to be a vice chair, but would want to make sure everybody else has the opportunity to step up to leadership before I do.
I mean, I feel the most comfortable as vice chair because I do a lot. So it's like I know I can, but yeah, again, I could be chair with a reliable vice chair. So yeah.
All right, thanks for stepping up. Anyone else want to make a motion or second a motion? I have a motion from Bill to be vice chair and Cody feels comfortable. Cody, if I heard you correctly, as chair or vice chair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think if it helps the other two folks on the call, I at this moment I don't have capacity to step up in a leadership role for the council. I want to be transparent about that because I don't think it would be fair to me for you guys and also for the role that we're doing to step up for a position that I I don't think I could take the responsibility of. So if that helps you guys also make an informed decision, that's helpful. I'm happy to second also the motions that were put in place as well.
I'm going to make a suggestion. Bill and Cody, how would you feel about being co-chairs? And then we would take turns. We'd start alphabetically and you just take turns hosting meetings back and forth.
Yeah. That works.
I'm good with that. I'm more comfortable co-chairing with Cody because he's got the experience that I don't. He knows what he's doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would second that motion and because since I'm on my way out, I'm quite happy to just be able to, support the efforts that are happening. So that's I would second Cody and Bill being co-chairs. And Jess, I don't mean to put you on the spot. And so I think that given our conversation when you spoke with our group, when you were expressing your interest in this position, I think you would be really, really good as treasurer. So if that's something you're willing to consider, or at least kind of like maybe learn about what that entails, is that, like I said, don't feel any pressure, but I just felt like that was my instinct that you would be really good at something like that, if you're willing to consider it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what the order of like how we were doing that was, but I would definitely be open to being the like treasurer position. Yeah. And I second the Cody Bill co-chair. That sounds great.
Okay. So I have motions and seconds, and the motion, if I can just restate it, is co-chairs would be Bill and Cody. Treasurer would be Jess. Do we feel like we can move towards a roll call vote for that whole slate? All right. Cody, how do you vote? Yay or nay?
Yay.
Nice. Bill, how do you vote? Yes or no?
Yay.
Okay. Rachel, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jess, how do you vote?
Yes.
Evelyn, what's your vote?
Yes.
All right. So we have co-chairs, Cody and Bill, and we have treasurer Jess. Thank you, everyone. That was very simple. And I am just going to, since I'm doing minutes, look at number 4. So discussion of minute taking and how to proceed for the grant cycle. Because some of these conversations are going to be really detailed, and because part of this whole process is subjective, right? We're going to look tonight at the forms that you've used in the past and look at some new forms in terms of doing our homework before we come to meetings to make to take votes and stuff. But you'll see in my minutes, I'm really going to recommend that we keep the deliberation as captured in the minutes to a minimum. And we just say like, the proposal from the Lollipop Singers was discussed. Pros and cons were also discussed. And then the vote, like the vote will be captured, but all of the deliberation won't be captured in the minutes. And I'm wondering how this group will feel about that. Will that be okay?
Are you proposing, Angela, that, yeah, I'm totally fine with, like, we don't need to, you know, get granular about what was being
Mhm.
discussed in terms of deliberations, but are you proposing that we vote on each one in separately as opposed to voting on this, the whole group at the end of the deliberation?
I think the way that I understood it, and you can explain it to me better, was that you did an overview and you looked at different contributing factors which were specific to the stipulations of this group, like do the people live in Amherst? How many people would the project reach? Like you did an overview of like the ones you'd like to support, the ones you'd like to not support, and then at the end you did the money piece. Is that correct? Okay. And I feel great about rolling that way. Like
And then, so as a kind of, I guess, the final step to that process is that we would vote on the entire slate of grants in one vote as opposed to each application. So I think that worked well for us. What do you think? What do you all think? I mean, Bill and Cody and having been.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we've been doing for years. And outside of last year, towards the end, I do recognize it was tension. So outside that, I do feel that it's working, and I don't want to change what's working. Of course, if we run into the syntax of last year, you know, next cycle, I might say, let's look at changes, but I'd say keep it as is this cycle.
Okay. All right. And I recognize that we have co-chairs now. Bill and Cody, do you want me to take a step back and let you take over the rest of the agenda?
I'm happy to have you finish this one out.
Cody, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so since I didn't sit in on your deliberations last year, does someone want to talk about or give some detail on the tension that happened at the end? Was it a rush to get amounts assigned to different grantees, or was the tension about um the amounts that were awarded?
I think it was because I can speak to this, and I think Bill, maybe you can also kind of echo this. I will say from my standpoint, coming into the council as a new member last year, I didn't really realize that the first go around like was more, or it felt more final. And so I think we kind of went through first just kind of saying like ideally what we would like to assign folks. And then kind of towards the end, we were kind of running out of time a little bit in terms of assigning what the actual amounts were. And we had already assigned whether it was full or partial or no funding to certain projects. And that number was way over what we had as a council. So we had to revise it. But I think some of the tension was definitely around, whether it's better to partially fund many projects or if it's better to fully fund fewer projects. I think we struck up a good middle ground on that, and I think we found some creative solutions to figure out how to tackle it. But I definitely think yeah, I think the creative solution was we went back through and identified, I think, 10 to 15 projects that we were like, you know what, in light of all of the projects that we have that are really, really good, would we prefer to cut these so that we have extra space in the budget so we don't have to slash as much from the remaining projects. So I think we picked 10 to 15 projects to not fund, and that lowered the amount that we had to cut out of everybody. Instead of saying, let's cut 10 or 15% from everything, we cut like maybe 5% from some of them because we picked more scrupulously. Yeah, that was my recalling or remembering of that.
Yeah. No, spot on. I feel it's unfair to those that do great work. If we did even cut and just pull that cover what was outside of English that we could cut.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all my recollection as well.
Okay.
I will add one more piece. As soon this year, we know there will be amazing work. Let's say 80 out of 100 applications, but one way to avoid what happens, be more conservative and keep track. But yeah, we did not have a real treasure last year, and in past years we had one, so I almost wonder if that was the problem.
Right. Rachel, I see your hand up. Go for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this is actually, since we're going into this new cycle, it's a really good opportunity to think about how we want to approach our ratings at the outset, because knowing that this is the amount of money we have, and this is actually, I think the total amount is less than what we had last year to grant. And I don't know what the number of applications is at the moment, because the deadline's tomorrow, isn't it? Because the 16th is tomorrow. So I think if when we're reading the applications, we have this in the back of our minds, then the conversations, or as we're scoring or rating, or however we want to do it this time around, is less around, oh, in theory, I would like to fully fund this, because we know we can't anyway. So it's, so I think if we just are each approaching this to the extent that, like, how much does this rate in comparison with the other applications? I think that's something that maybe we can all just be thinking about at the outset, and not be deliberating it, because I feel like that could put us a little more forward in the process. And then the other thing I was going to say in relation to that is, if the criteria for scoring or ratings, if you all, like, for everyone who either has or hasn't been involved in the past, like, how could we do it better, and to make it more expedient, I guess. And this, so because I think some of this is, because I think, Bill, you raised this at one point too, is, do we want to establish at the outset, when we look at the group of applications, let's say of 100 applications, 50 of them relate to music or performing music. So do we want, as a council, to decide, what percentage we want to dedicate to what type of grant applications, just, as a guiding principle? I think that's something that, the co-chairs or we as a group can maybe think about or decide before we go about the discussions or the rating. I think that might be helpful. I don't know, for those of you who've been, involved once or more, how you feel about that.
I think that's an interesting concept, is like percentage for music, percentage for like two-dimensional art, percentage for drama, percentage for like, what would be some of the other buckets that we would separate out?
Literature, festivals. I feel like those were big ones. Talks, lectures. I definitely agree with you, honestly. I think that was a big part, because I feel like I think we realized pretty early on that it felt like we were funding like so many like different orchestras, for example, and it was like, okay, like how can we contribute also to the diversity of programming that's happening? And so I definitely think maybe thinking of it as a percentage and parsing it out that way could be helpful. Also in making that final deliberation. I also agree with you on the rubric part of things, of like kind of deciding at the outset, like, are we prioritizing, Amherst-based events for full funding? And then from that point, once we kind of go through the Amherst-based events that will cater to an Amherst / surrounding towns like Pelham, Granby, and things like that. And I guess we would have to kind of decide what that line is. But like, are we considering those for full funding first, and then kind of basing it on like the merit of the actual application about whether or not we do that, and then moving on to, towns that are, or projects based in towns that are a little bit farther away that also may, merit full funding, but also, may not. So I think that would be helpful, I think, in terms of rubric to think about. And then again, establishing at the outset, what is our goal? Is it to fund as many projects as possible, or is it to fund as many projects as possible as well? But like, where is it that we're trying to, like, do we want to partially fund many or fully fund fewer? I had another thought, but I totally forgot what it was. So I'll think about it and
I like that mirror idea of if it's a illness, it's more than likely, unless they just bomb the application or they haven't submitted the reports for last cycle, that they are more likely to be full funded or high in the further we go, the less. So I like that.
This
And
might be
maybe we, sorry, and maybe we have a number like, okay, like Amos could range 0 to 4. Northampton could be like 0 to 750. A criteria of the amount, so it'd be more organized
Mm-hmm.
and save a lot more time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with all of this. I mean, we considered all of the points that were brought up, we considered, but it was all kind of a mishmash during discussions with no set rubric and no common definitions. And yeah, if we do that up front, I think it would be a lot cleaner and certainly a lot quicker.
Jess, I saw your hand up. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Cody. I was gonna ask for, and this might be like kind of a dumb question, but for other towns, is the funding that they have available through their own cultural councils like pretty proportional or like similar to what Amherst has, or do we have kind of like a bigger pull than a lot of other surrounding areas, and that's why a lot of these towns are applying here?
So the MCC gives these funds for local cultural councils based on population.
Oh, okay.
So our
That makes-
bucket's pretty big because we're lucky to have, UMass and Amherst College and Hampshire College and so other towns like, Granby and Pelham and South Hadley, they have buckets too, but just not as big.
Okay.
Rachel, sorry.
That's
ahead.
okay, Jess, I was just gonna fill in on what Angela just said, that's in addition to population, also has to do with income. So for example, like Amherst will have a larger allocation than say the town of Wellesley, or where
Mhm.
just because of the median income is taken
Right.
into consideration as well. And when you see the applications, you'll see that a lot of the applicants are applying to many local cultural councils for
Oh, okay.
so you can submit the same application to 5, 10, 15 different cultural councils for consideration. So that's something. And then I was going to ask you, Jess, whether you've already received a message from the Mass Cultural Council showing you what because you can actually log into these portals to look at, for example, who has applied already, and you have access to all that information. So I just don't know if you've already been put into that system. So
She
you haven't-
hasn't, she
I
hasn't
see,
been
I
yet.
see.
They
Okay.
haven't updated our page. They still have Julianne's
I see,
information there.
okay.
Yeah.
So, but just once you have that, you'll be able to see a lot of things about, our council and other council, or it just, but the Mass Cultural Council website to begin with, there's, just that's a public page. But there's a system called Smart Simple in which you can log into that, and then it'll show you, for example, all the applications that people have filed in the drafts and whatever else. So when you get that, that might help to answer some of your questions too.
So if I may, I'm just going to share the scoring sheet that the Mass Cultural Council thinks we should use, and we can look at that. And so my idea was, Rachel, to take the submissions from everyone, to redact their address and their email and their phone numbers, and to share that with all of you. And then for us to use a scoring sheet, and it looks like this. And then I would compile all the scoring sheets, and then the high number people are the people we would kind of discuss for allocation of monies. And then the low scoring people, we would take a look at as a group and just say, all right, this is like this is our bottom half. And is there anyone we want to move over to the other side?
Yeah.
How do people feel about that as a first run at it? It would require a lot of homework for members, but it might be a good way to start, if we can all agree on the scoring sheet.
Yeah. I do. I guess my comment ties into that. I know last year we got applications for a Amherst group, but they were doing a mural, I believe, at the state house. So, that could be a lower score. Also, I also know and want input on we have fewer applicants in Eastern Mass. Plus, like, to conserve more time, should we even discuss that unless they are legit, like having a event in Amherst?
Yeah, I mean, that's a decision that people will have to make all together. I mean, as a group, as we start to pull together the rubric for scoring, I think, yeah, location of the event and location of the people involved in the event definitely should factor in. So this is the scoring sheet from the MCC. I just turned it into like something that looks Town of Amhersty, but all of these are fillable forms, and I would send you a PDF template, and you would fill one out for every applicant. And so each segment has 5 is the highest score. 1 is very weak. 5 is like overall excellent, all criteria, no major weaknesses or failings in the strict context of that criteria. So the first kind of grouping is quality, originality, creativity, community benefit, planning, budget. And then the total would be 5, 10, 15, 20. And this would be the starting. And then I kind of added pros and cons, like what aspects of this proposal are unique and interesting to you? And then what don't you care for in this proposal? So that when I compile this into one spreadsheet for highs and low scores, all of your comments would be in a column to the right. But I would do all of that compilation work before we had our discussion meeting.
And we'll be completing this as a spreadsheet, correct, rather than this form?
You would complete it as a form for each applicant. I would compile it into a spreadsheet. The other thing I could do is I could create this in Microsoft Forms, which is on OneDrive for us, and share it with you, and it would compile the spreadsheet for me.
I was
Which
gonna
might-
say, I think it might be more work for you if
Right.
if we did the PDF form. So happy to do it via
Yeah.
Microsoft form, or even like to edit directly into the spreadsheet like we did last year. But I appreciating the work that you do for us, and we'll do this cycle, but also however we can help to make it easier as well.
Okay. I'm happy to roll with whatever you think would work best for the group. But one of the things that's not on here that should be on here is like, if we're going to put together buckets in terms of, like, is it live music? Is it a drama presentation? Is it a literary festival? Is it a lecture? Is it instructional class for, you know,
Mm.
capoeira, whatever? Like, we should identify those buckets as part of this intake, right?
Yeah.
So for accessibility purposes, for that, I will say Microsoft
Okay.
Forms is better because you can create the chat boxes and we just click on it.
Okay. So last year, the spreadsheet that you sent to me, Rachel, this everybody had access to and everybody filled out together.
That's correct. So I don't know whether it was you or Julianne who took the panel book information and imported it into the spreadsheet, which was sent to all of us.
On the back end, the
Uh-huh.
administrators portal looks like this on MCC.
Okay, so we,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, we all received a version of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we would put in the scores in the appropriate columns in our comments.
Okay. And that was a separate document. The scoring document was a separate document, question mark?
Yeah, wait,
Okay.
it looked kind
Yeah.
of like, yeah, but the layout was quite similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you all have all your scoring done for all applicants before the first deliberation meeting, or did you break it up into buckets? Like, we're gonna do 1 through 50 this night and 50 through 100 the next night?
Yes.
That's what we did. I think it might be helpful to read all of them, and maybe we don't do. I mean, I know scoring itself takes quite a bit of time, but maybe we at
Mhm.
least read through all of them and identify like, okay, these are the ones we're gonna recommend for full funding at least before the first meeting.
Okay. So if I do a Microsoft intake form and you have that open as next to the actual applications, and you input one scoring sheet for every applicant, how does that feel? Would you rather do it as a spreadsheet?
I like the form idea. The only thing that could potentially be a downside is would you be able to edit a score that you gave like earlier? Because I can imagine like it as you're going through your like internal rating system might kind of change as you're reading more of them. Is that a possibility in the Microsoft?
Yes, that is a possibility. Yep. Yeah.
And now the thing is like, will the full recognize the buckets and not put all them into one spreadsheet? But, yeah.
Yeah, I don't, that's a good question. We can sort the spreadsheet by buckets, like we could do an alphabetical
Oh,
sort so that
yeah.
all the drama people come to the top, all the music people, like we could just sort it alphabetically and then it would rejigger it for us, Cody. Would that be helpful?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Whichever form that, we use for our ratings, I think I
Mhm.
agree with what Evelyn just said in terms of like, we should probably have read through all of them before we
Right.
have our first discussion.
Mm-hmm.
That I think would be more productive. And then,
Mm-hmm.
there's, I don't know how many, I think maybe Cody was the only one who was around for this, when we, sent out a survey to the community to ask about what people want for funding. I do remember seeing those results, Evelyn and Bill, or,
I do remember seeing the results, yeah.
okay, so, Angela, if you don't have that, I could send it to you, I could share it, whatever's
Sure.
easier, but.
That'd be
we
great.
compiled a, and maybe you can forward it to Jess too,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a survey we did 2 years ago, asking community about what the priorities are for funding that people would like to have, and the type of activities, and so it's just a little, it's you know helpful for perspective. I
Yeah.
will send that
Oh,
to you, right, Angela?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be great. And I can
Sure.
I can send it out to everybody.
Great.
Yep.
yeah.
I think that'd be really informative.
I'll be curious, obviously, in between this next grant cycle, to do a new one, and evaluate all we need or the community wants.
I think that's really doable. And we can definitely, after the grant cycle closes, we can churn one of those out and we can use Samantha Giffen, our communications manager, to push it out via social media. And we can totally do that. I think that's a great idea. So it is 7:56. I don't have any items that were not anticipated 48 hours prior to this meeting. And I'm looking to see if we have anyone in the attendee room for public comment. We do not have anyone in the attendee room. So my homework between now and our next meeting is to figure out if the other members who are on the membership list are going to start showing up. And if not, then I encourage all of us to go out and find some really dynamic people who want to join this group. Rachel and Cody, I think I talked Catherine into a 1-year term. So you interviewed her and she was a maybe. Catherine, her last name's like McLeod, I think.
Was she the one with the time commitment issue?
Yes. Yeah, she's
Oh,
yeah. So I kind of said to her, like, we want to streamline this process. We would love to have you, even if it's for 1 year. So if you're okay with it, I'm going to encourage the town manager to appoint her,
yeah.
knowing, okay. And Rachel, you don't have to decide tonight, but if you want to email me or call me and let me know your thoughts on that one. She's the one with the baby at home, so she works from home. And I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to try out the spreadsheet and uh Microsoft Form and use an application from a previous cycle and have us try it out as a group. Like I'll just send it out. And then at our next meeting, you can let your co-chairs know. We can just vote on which intake you like better.
Okay, do we have a date for next meeting?
I don't have one in mind, knowing that the applications close tomorrow. We should get organized sooner rather than later. So if Wednesdays work for everyone, I'm happy to stick with Wednesdays. If you want me to send out another doodle poll, I'm happy to do that too. I heard from many people that Thursdays are a no-go.
I'm still just seeing the attendance tonight. Wednesdays work. I know they work for me.
Okay,
I mean, if we all meet the first Wednesday of next month, I know I'm always on business or I can't attend, but outside that off my head, yes, they work well.
okay. So not the first Wednesdays of a month, but otherwise Wednesdays are good for you.
No, only November.
Okay,
November 5th, I believe. And let me double
Okay.
check.
Does everyone else want me to
Yeah.
send a doodle poll, or do you just want to let me know if Wednesdays are good for you?
This is great for me.
Okay,
It was
This,
probably the
this
best
time
night
is
of the
great
week.
for me.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bill.
No, my bad. Go ahead.
I was gonna say this time is great for me. I just can't meet before or like after this time. So if we do stick with today, the hour time slot is what I have available on Wednesdays.
okay,
Wednesdays 7 to 8 work for me as well.
okay,
Yeah, good for me too.
great. Okay, so I will
Hey.
do my part to create that form and send it to you all with like a dummy application from last year or the year before, and you can see which intake you like better. And we will move forward and fine tune it all together and move forward from there, if that's okay with you. Do we want to try and meet next Wednesday?
That sounds great with me.
Yeah.
That works for me.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Angela.
Yes, do we have a motion to adjourn? No, we don't need one. I'm kidding. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night. It's so nice to see everyone.
Bye.
I look
Thank
forward to
you.
working with you.
Good night.
You
Good night.